Hey, this is Mr. Ayton. This is session 8 for Apologetics, Arguments, and Logical Fallacies. This is Robert Ayton. Check out my website, MrAyton.com, as well as my YouTube channel. This is our final session of talking about presuppositional apologetics, and we're going to be taking a look at some arguments and logical fallacies that you're going to experience while you do apologetics. Now, what is an argument? An argument is basically making a case for something, a logical argumentation, a case which has a premise, has a proposition, and has a conclusion. The premise is the basis of your argument. The proposition would be a statement or an assertion, and the conclusion is a judgment or a decision reached by reasoning. And so all of us make arguments all the time. And faulty arguments are ones that are illogical or have errors or mistakes in logic or reasoning. And what is logic? Logic is simply thinking rightly. Thinking rightly. A Christian has a moral obligation to be logical since God, the triune God of Scripture, is the source of all logic. We need to think in a way that is consistent with his nature. In an unbelieving worldview, they don't have to think, speak, breathe, live logically. They don't. They're actually living inconsistent. As soon as an unbeliever is logical, they're living inconsistent with their worldview. They don't have to be. It doesn't matter. And yet they do so because they live in God's world. They steal from our worldview. And so the Christian has to think rightly. We are obligated morally to think rightly. We're going to go through some logical fallacies. There's three main flavors of logical fallacies. The first one is called clarity or ambiguity. Clarity or ambiguity. You're going to see two of these in clarity or ambiguity that people will use against you. And one is probably the most used one is called equivocation. Equivocation. You can see equal in there. Equivocate. Equivocation means you're going to use one term for another in the middle of an argument. Okay, so you're going to conflate or mix two definitions of the term. I hear this all the time with the term science. They'll say, well, science proves this. Science, what do they mean by science? They're conflating maybe experimental science, scientific models. They're conflating, they're equivocating upon that. You're going to hear the term evolution equivocated. They'll use, well, everyone believes in evolution. It's all science believes in evolution. Well, what do you mean by evolution? Do you mean Darwinian evolution? Do you mean speciation? Like, what do you mean? Or the term theory. The term theory, I don't even use the term theory because theory has like 29 different definitions. And so these three terms are used countlessly to, in whatever way supports their argument, they equivocate. So always be on the lookout for equivocation. The next is what's called personification. Personification is giving an inanimate object or concept abilities it doesn't possess. You'll hear it, well, Mother Nature did this. Nature doesn't have any ability to do anything. Evolution chooses. Science says. Trust the science. These are all personifications, which are the logical fallacies of equivocation and personification. The next is called presumption. Presumption, which are unproven assumptions. The first one is called, you're going to run into is generalization. The entire fossil record says, or all scientists agree, or evolution is at the basis of all biological science. They're generalizing. They're generalizing. When they say all scientists agree, do all scientists have to actually agree? Well, if I'm a scientist and I disagree, that generalization just became a logical fallacy. There's a false dilemma. If God is loving, no, he wouldn't send anyone to hell. If God was really good, everyone would go to. It's false dilemmas. False dilemmas. Watch out for the false dilemmas. There's begging the question, or what we call circular reasoning. That's assuming your conclusion is true without ever having to prove it. Okay. Every worldview at its core must get to a point where there has to be an ultimate standard, which means begging the question is not talking about the ultimate standard. It's something like this. It would be like if someone said, well, we're here, so evolution has to be true. they're assuming their conclusion within their argument. And so that is not an ultimate standard, but that is begging the question. There's emotional argumentation, pathos, emotionalism, which is under here. If babies die, then God is evil. If there's anyone sick at all, God's evil. The cross is cosmic child abuse. This is just emotionalism. It's just stirring up emotions. You'll hear this a lot of time in the abortion argumentation. Very emotional argumentation. Okay. There's the no true Scotsman. Let me give you an example of the no true Scotsman. If you were a real scientist, you would believe in X, Y, or Z. If you were intelligent, you would believe. Well, that's the no true Scotsman. There's also the double standard. That's where someone holds your worldview to a standard that their worldview can't. You'll hear this of, stop imposing your beliefs on me. Well, by saying that, you're imposing your belief on me. Or how about, there were so many evil Christians who did bad things like slavery and the Crusades. Well, there's a lot of evil atheists too. You don't want the double standard here, okay? We have an answer for that. You do not. And so that's called a double standard. All these are the fallacies of presumption. And the last is the fallacies of relevance. This is where the conclusion is not relevant to the premise. The first one is ad hominem. Ad hominem means to the man. This is where you have an argument to the person and you're insulting the person without actually taking a look at the argument. So let me give you an example. If you just believe in Christianity because you were raised in a Christian home, if you were of a different faith, you would believe in that instead. That's just ad hominem. That's not consistent. That doesn't have to do with the premise. Appeals. You'll have appeals to authority, appeals to majority. Things like Dr. Smith, a leading astrophysicist, says the universe is billions of years old. Or they just say, the experts say the Bible's account of creation is true. All scientists believe in evolution. These are appeals to authority. Appeals to the majority. All scientists believe in it. These are just appeals. That doesn't prove anything. The next is a straw man. A straw man is when you set up a fallacious argument to knock it down. Okay, something like this, like Christians just reject science, or all Christians are just hypocrites, or Christianity can't be right. Haven't you heard of the Crusades? These are just straw men arguments. They have nothing to do. They're not relevant at all. Or the big one is misrepresentation, portraying someone else's beliefs by giving a caricature. You just believe in God of the gaps. You don't have any evidence. You just believe by faith. You're all just intolerant. These are all misrepresentations. And friends, we do not want to misrepresent someone else's beliefs. Do not say, well, you just think in evolution that all people came from monkeys. That's not what they believe. Don't misrepresent them. Don't be we are commanded to be logical, to use proper argumentation, and to not use logical fallacies. The unbeliever is not required to do so, but they will do so. But you can call them out on these arguments and logical fallacies by not giving in to their worldview. This was Presuppositional Apologetics. I'm Mr. Ayton. Thank you.